If you're visiting Ken Jennings at his home in Seattle, you'll probably find him typing away at a keyboard. It's a world away from how America first met the affable game show whiz in 2004 as the seemingly unstoppable champion on Jeopardy!
Ken.
Who's Jean Lafitte?
Ken.
What's the dodo?
Ken.
What is Stella?
The category is
But
business.
after a 74-show winning streak, 75 was not Ken's lucky number. What happened? What was going on that day?
That morning, I met a woman from Ventura who was going to play on the show that day. And usually, people would just be so disheartened when they saw me. You could just see them take themselves out of the game right away. But she was all perky and peppy. And the final Jeopardy was about H&R Block, and she knew it immediately, so I could hear her writing. And I had always done my own taxes. I could have thought about the clue all day, and I would not have thought of H&R Block.
His final response was FedEx.
He may have lost that day, but Jennings did not leave Jeopardy empty-handed. For one thing, he got to take home this unusual artwork.
It appears to be taking place in some kind of Twilight Zone universe where there's two of me. One is very large and is winning, and then there's a smaller version of me in second place. Both of us and Alex are looking at some kind of game show god.
And then there were the winnings.
And I had won some insane seven-figure amount of money, so that was that too.
Like $2.5 million-ish?
$2.5 million.
His run on the show allowed Ken to leave his job as a computer scientist and focus on his true passion, writing.
But Jeopardy hooked me up.
Okay, let's talk about your books.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a writer and didn't really realize that there was a way to do it. It turns out the only way to make a living as a writer today is to win on a game show for 6 months. So that's what you should do, kids. So yeah, I'm in a lucky position where if I'm interested in something, I can pitch a book about it to my publisher. Like I was a map geek as a kid, so I pitched them a book about geography nerds. I was always a comedy geek and a class clown as a kid, so I just finished a book about the history of comedy.
His latest book is Planet Funny, How Comedy Took Over Our Culture. We know you're smart, but are you funny?
No. In fact, I am not. See, you're laughing. You ruined my
I think
thing.
you are kind of funny.
People don't think I'm funny because nobody's funny on Jeopardy, you know?
Right.
So there's a very low bar where people will meet me and be like, oh, he's like more than zero funny. So I guess I benefit from the low expectations.
Well, what do you think of our society these days when it comes to humor?
I think there is too much humor. I love jokes as much as anybody. The book is kind of a love letter to comedy and the comedians I love. But we are just swimming in it now.
But why is that bad? Why is that a bad thing?
I think if we rely too much on those quick quips and jokes that now we can all kind of do, we do lose something more sincere and heartfelt between us as people.
You're a dad of two, right?
I have 2 kids.
Do your children find you funny?
I'm Ken Jennings, the long-running champion of...
Tell me about your podcast. What is it and who do you do it with?
Me and my friend John Roderick, a beloved local Seattle musician, do a podcast twice a week called Omnibus. We are assembling an encyclopedic collection of all of human history and culture as a time capsule for the apocalypse. So we want to make sure we leave a complete record of all the stuff.
Well, what are you up to next besides you just got this new book out and you've got your podcast? What else are you working on? Did we just stump you?
Yeah, I have no idea.
One thing that's not in jeopardy, the possibility that Ken Jennings will be slowing down anytime soon. The game show champ / author / podcaster is perpetually curious.
I'm going to enjoy Seattle. I'm going to travel with my family. I'm already late with my next book, which is about the afterlife. So hopefully I can figure that out and get to the bottom of that.
Malia Karlinski, Seattle Refined.